Bro, I am telling you, Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes will make the best midfield duo in the Premier League next season. Ooh, I don't think so, man. I'm going to be honest. You have to look at David Silva and De Bruyne. They've literally been doing it for years. It's how you know you're dumb. David Silva's not even going to be there next year. But they still have Bernardo Silva there. Literally just going to be as strong in the midfield position. No cap. Are you seriously comparing Paul Pogba to Kevin De Bruyne? Bro, I don't know if you've been watching the wrong sport or something, but Bruno Fernandes made such an impact to the league. He's clearly a better player than Bernardo Silva. Okay then, Pogba's better than De Bruyne, yeah? Yeah? No comment. Guys, I hope we're good and we had a productive day. I was actually so excited for this round of football, obviously the second round in the Project Restart. Playing today was obviously Norwich City versus Southampton and Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United. It was definitely the best round of football that we've seen so far. In terms of the Norwich and Southampton game, it was obviously a 3-0 win to Southampton. Norwich pretty much played like a team that knew that they were going to get relegated, to be honest. There was not really any intensity in their game. They kind of struggled to string passes together and create anything meaningful. They were quite shocking defensively as well, to be fair. And Southampton looked pretty sharp, but they were given a lot of opportunities. The first goal came from Danny Ings, and as soon as that happened, the game kind of opened up and you could tell what was going to happen. To be honest, Southampton could have scored more goals if they wanted to. Players I was impressed with in that game, Danny Ings, Todd Cantwell, who's obviously a very talented player, came up quite early, wasn't really able to have an impact on the game. Same with as Pukki as well. Armstrong played well. Redmond looked good as well. He looked quite fit. Generally, Southampton looked pretty good. I don't think they're going to have any problems, obviously, staying in the league. Norwich kind of seem like a team that are prepared to get relegated. Financially, I think they managed that quite well. They didn't really spend much on players, so it kind of seemed like that was inevitable for Norwich, to be honest. They've got a lot of young players, though, so you never know whether they're going to stay at the club. They might be able to push straight back up, or they might be able to make some good money off them when you think of your Max Aarons, your Jamal Lewis's, and players such as that. And even Timo Pukki, even though his best years, I guess, are kind of behind them at the moment. But yeah, that obviously leaves Norwich not in a great place for the rest of the season. They're really going to have to try and win maybe 5 or 6 of their next 8 games to have any chance of staying in the league. But you never know, so things happen in football, and you can never count anyone out, but it does look quite unlikely. Southampton look like in a very good position in terms of where they were at the start of the season. They really struggled. They didn't have many points on the board, and they didn't have an identity for the way that they were playing. Towards the end of it, obviously you can see the training that Hassan, who deserves enormous credit, has got them playing, a lot more attractive football, a bit more of the Southampton we're kind of used to, I guess, when you think of when they had, your Adam Lallanas and your Ricky Lamberts and those kind of players, that they were playing really good football, and it seems like they're doing it. Obviously, it wasn't the biggest challenge. There's going to be bigger challenges to come for Southampton, but I'm looking forward to seeing that, and they're definitely in a better position than when I saw them at the start of the season. Okay, we're going to move on to the Tottenham versus United game, and there was so much hype around this game, especially when you look at some of the players coming back that wouldn't have been available if the normal football fixture would have been played at the normal day. So for example, there would have been no Harry Kane, there would have been no Marcus Rashford, so we got to see both of them. And Paul Pogba returned finally after being out for how many months with injury, which was obviously really interesting to see how he would be able to link up with Bruno Fernandes, because they've thought that they could potentially be one of the best midfield partnerships, if not the best midfield partnership in the Premier League when you look at their talent and abilities individuals. And if you put the collective, you could see a lot from them. When you look at the kind of tactics that the teams played, Man United started with a 4-2-3-1. They had the ball though. They actually transitioned to a 3 at the back, where Aaron Wan-Bissaka, instead of playing right back, he kind of came centrally and played a 3 at the back with him, Lindelof and Maguire on the left side. That left Shaw wide, and it also left Daniel James on the wing to obviously utilise his pace and his strengths as a footballer. Tottenham lined up quite narrowly. It was, you call it a 4-2-3-1, kind of transitioned into a 4-4-2 a lot of the time, where they had Harry Kane and Lamela as the attacking players. On the wings they had Bergwijn and they had Son, they had Moussa Sissoko, and they had Winks in the midfield as well. And it was quite an interesting team. It was a very attacking team for Jose, definitely by Jose's standards. I think there was talk about, they had Eric Dyer and Sanchez on the in their centre-back positions, and Vertonghen took a place on the bench. So there was a couple of rumours about that, but apparently Mourinho just alluded to the pace, because obviously Man United's main strength is on the counter-attack. When you think of the players like Rashford and Martial and James, who are absolutely rapid on the counter-attack, and Alderweireld, for all his qualities, is not the fastest defender. So maybe obviously you can kind of understand that from a tactical point of view. The game started off quite cagey, to be fair. It was quite slow. It was quite there was a lot of sidewards football, and it only really started to open up when Bergwijn managed to get his goal. Now, if you actually watch the goal back, I watched it back a couple of times. Obviously, the defending's poor, and we don't, it's obviously Harry Maguire just not anticipating what Bergwijn's going to do, and it looking very simple for him as well. But if you look at David De Gea, if you look at his actual hands, he's gone like, so it's gone to this side, so he's gone like that. So obviously I know David De Gea is well known for using fists instead of actually kind of keeping his hand out, so he can punch the ball away. But I'm thinking, if he's gone like that, what's happened? Bergwijn's hit the ball with a lot of power. It's deflected off his fist and gone into the goal. If his hand's out like that in a more natural goalkeeper position, I'm 100% sure that he saves that shot. So it is a mistake from David De Gea. From that point, Tottenham started to dominate. They created more chances. I think Son had a good chance missed as well. Man United were getting kind of dominated to a certain extent. And then it all kind of changed when Pogba and Mason Greenwood came on. And they made a massive difference, especially Pogba. You could, as much as he might frustrate as a player, there's no doubt in his ability and the potential between him and Bruno Fernandes. If they can click together and be the creative force in Man United midfield, that could be a really, really strong midfield and definitely compete with definitely the best midfielders in the Premier League for sure. So it was great to see them for the first time, and you can see just the kind of presence Pogba had on the pitch made the impact. And obviously he had a massive contribution as well. It was his quick feet and his technical ability which managed to bamboozle Eric Dyer and lead to a penalty which was very calmly dispatched by Bruno Fernandes. Now, it's a weird one. Do you think there's more pressure with all the crowd there, or when it's completely silent? It's a weird one thinking from a penalty taker point of view, and it must be kind of unreal to be able to take a penalty like that. After that, it was quite obvious that Tottenham were kind of, I guess, happier to take the point. They sat back a bit more. They were a lot more pragmatic with the ball, whereas Man United really tried to get the next goal and bring more attacking players and change their style of play as well. And it changed towards the second half. It didn't happen much in second half at all, but in the first half, in that transition where Man United were changing to a three at the back, as soon as they lost the ball, they really struggled kind of dealing with the counter-attacking play of Tottenham, just because players were kind of out of position. So you could tell Ole Gunnar Solskjaer changed that towards the second half and maybe even the early first half, but that was definitely something that I noticed. In my opinion, watching the game, I was excited to see Harry Kane back, but he did look really poor. He looked off it. He obviously didn't look to the standard that he set for himself. Potentially probably a fitness thing. It might take him a couple of games to get back to the speed that we're so used to, but yeah, it wasn't his greatest game. He was a bit sloppy on the ball. He looked really tired, especially towards maybe the last 20 minutes of the game, and didn't really offer much. And then even in the free kick where you're like, okay, because obviously it happens to Harry Kane sometimes. He's not having the greatest game, but then he still managed to make a massive impact in the game with just one moment or two moments of absolute brilliance. He had a free kick. It was all set up for him. The lights were shining. I was like, it's Harry Kane's moment, and then he just hits the wall, and I'm like, what's going on? How many players hit the first man in corners? It frustrates me so bad. I expect 8-year-olds to be able to do that. It's mad. But yeah, they shouldn't be doing that. Anyway, see the 1-1 draw. It's probably, both teams definitely probably would have wanted to win, especially Tottenham's situation they're in. They pretty much needed the 3 points to have a chance of getting in to the Champions League. They still obviously got a realistic chance of getting into the Europa League, but it's going to be difficult to get into the Champions League when you look at the standard the teams are playing at in those positions. Also, Man United wanted to go ahead of Chelsea as well. 3 points behind, but had a better goal difference. So if they scored the goal, if they managed to win the game, they would have went ahead of them, but there's 2 points behind. So it's still anything to play for, but it was definitely good to see the teams playing. And to be honest, that game was probably the highest standard of football we've seen so far from the restart. So no, it was really enjoyable to watch. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments, make sure you leave them in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe. And quick question for you, are we taking Bernardo Silva? Are we taking Bruno Fernandes? Let me know your thoughts below, guys. Have a great day.